Welcome to MSP Voice, the weekly show for MSPs by MSPs. Brought to you by MSP 360, the #1 cross-platform cloud backup. Learn more at msp360.com. This is MSP Voice. Hello and welcome to MSP Voice. This is episode number 71. Today, my guest is Larry Bianculli with Contemporary Computer Services, Inc., or CCSI. CCSI has been in business since 1974, so they're definitely doing something right. Really good interview with Larry. Talks about all the different things that they're doing. They're doing a lot of co-managed IT with Fortune 500 and those types of things. So definitely stick around and listen about how they've been able to stay in business for that long and continue to be successful. First, we have some housekeeping items. MSP Voice is your source for all things MSP Voice. We've got a new design this year for 2020. So this is the first episode of 2020. So definitely check that out. Be the Next Guest is still very prominent here. So again, please, I'm always looking for guests. Just click that link, fill out the form. The process is really easy. It only takes about 20 to 30 minutes of your time, and we'll get you on here in a future episode. A couple of other things, we've got some webinars coming up. So actually today, which is Wednesday, January 15th, we have a webinar with EnviroSoft. Jamie Warner is going to be talking about their IT support bot demo. They're doing some really cool and interesting things around helping your customers do support. So definitely check that out. Also, next week on the 22nd of January, we've got Paul Green with MSP Marketing Edge. So he's going to talk about all things marketing and helping to build a great marketing organization for your MSP. So definitely be sure to tune in for that. Both links are here on the website. Just click them, register, and we'll get you in. Of course, recordings will be available after the webinars are published. A couple of news items this week. First off, something you may be interested in. The actual deadline is coming up rather quickly on January 24th. But it's the top 100 vertical market MSPs. It's a survey to identify the 2020 honorees. It's being put on by Channel E2E. Definitely check this out if you're interested in being considered for one of the top 100 vertical market MSPs. They do require financial information. You can submit up to 3 different verticals, but just be aware that you have to have the financial information for both 2019 and 2018, as well as your EBITDA for 2019, which is optional. But definitely, if you're interested, click the link here that's on the show notes, fill out the form, and Joe Panettiere will see if you make it in the top 100. Next up, this is actually a little bit old. It's from almost, not quite a month ago, but almost. But it's a post on Reddit that I thought was interesting just because I deal with backup quite a bit. And the question is the 3-2-1 backup rule still relevant? So as you know, 3-2-1 is 3 copies of your data, 2 different media, 1 of them off-site. And this person is asking because he gets questions all the time from customers saying, "Hey, I use Dropbox or G Suite or OneDrive. Why do I need you to have you back up my files?" So they're just trying to get justification. There's no clear answer in terms of the commenters on this post. So it kind of goes both ways. Some say you don't need it, it's extra money, I could be spending it on other areas. Others say, just because it's in the cloud, it's not protected. If you get hit by ransomware, that's going to sync up to the cloud just as easily. Backups are really your best protection. So I wish there was a clear answer. I'm a firm believer in the 3-2-1 rule. Just because it's your data, you should have it backed up and protected. You never know what's going to happen to it. And you never know what's going to happen inside the cloud service provider where things may become unavailable. So whether it's Office 365 or OneDrive, G Suite, all those types of things, Dropbox, definitely, I always recommend to back up your data. I always recommend the 3-2-1 rule, just because it is data. It's your customers' data. They entrust you to protect it. Next up is another ransomware issue. The Sadan Okibi. I'm terrible at pronunciation of that, so please apologize. But the folks behind that, they're starting to publish stolen data. So I actually talked about this on an episode last year where the The Maze group was also doing the same thing. Now it appears that these folks are doing the same thing. They're starting to publish data if the ransomware is not paid or not paid in time. Just another concern that you need to be worried about. And I hate talking about these things, but we need to keep this information first and foremost in everyone's mind to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can to protect your customers. And next up, this has really been a developing story over the last couple of days. Don't know where it's going to end up, but there's apparently an extraordinarily serious security warning for 900 million Microsoft users. This has roots with the National Security Agency, NSA. Apparently, I read one article where they found the exploit, told Microsoft is supposed to patch it today, which today is actually the 14th of January, Patch Tuesday. I personally haven't seen it yet, but something to be on the lookout for. It's been a big story all day. I first found this in one of the MSP Facebook groups. That's where I found the link, so I thought I'd include it in today's episode, just to make sure that, hey, if you're on the fence, patch and get it fixed, even though we don't know the full extent of what this exploit might be. All the media outlets are making it sound pretty serious. So definitely check that out. And with that, I now take you to the interview. Again, Larry Bianculli with CCSI. Fun interview. He's got a lot of great information, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to MSP Voice. Today, I am pleased to be joined by Larry Bianculli. Larry, tell us about yourself, who you are, where you're from.
Sure, thank you. So my name is Larry Bianculli, and Managing Director for CCSI, a managed services provider here in the New York area.
Great. Now, CCSI, does that stand for something?
It does. It's an abbreviation for Contemporary Computer Services, right? So it's a company that's been around since 1974.
Wow.
Yeah, DNA is services right from day one. The founders originally came out of IBM, so some ex-IBMers got together and put together the company that was, true to the services culture right from day one.
Okay.
Since then, we can get more into the details behind it, but we've been navigating since 1974.
Cool. Now, you're in the kind of New York area, Long Island, I think. How large? I mean, how big of a footprint do you guys have? Do you just focus on that area? You do nationwide stuff?
Yeah, no, in this day and age, we're global. I mean, the reality of it is that we have Fortune 50 customers, we have SMB customers, right? So our spread and everything is pretty big. And, in this day and age, you can do, service customers, do a good amount of business without ever having to set foot.
Yeah.
So we have customers in the UK, customers across the country, et cetera.
Okay, great. And so you yourself, have you been with CCSI since the beginning of your entire career? Did you have a career before this?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, I've been with CCSI now going on 4 years.
Okay.
And so my role is really to grow the enterprise and the commercial side of the house. Right. So really, what does that mean? Right. And so work with targets, in mind and work backward. Right. So a lot of hiring, a lot of strategy, where the market was going, what is the augmented services that we can really start to sell into new customers as well as existing customers and so forth. So before CCSI, my tenure really has been on the vendor side. I spent close to 15 years with some of the big names that are very recognizable out there, the Cisco's and the Junipers of the world, and spent some time in the startup world as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in that world myself for a while, so I can definitely relate. Now, you mentioned you've got some very large customers. Now, they probably have their own IT departments?
They do. The large customers, right? They definitely have their IT staff, and they use CCSI to really be augmentation, right? So our value prop really is to help customers focus on their business, right? So we're the technical arm, right? So in those larger customers, everything is about cost efficiency in this day and age. So they focus on more of the business drivers, and we focus on the stuff that keeps they don't need to focus on it, so they stay focused on the important things.
Okay, yeah, I've talked about the concept, the idea of co-managed IT, where basically, MSPs that work with companies that to help augment their IT staff or take on areas of IT that, like you said, let them focus on the business, they focus on some other things. So
Mhm.
it seems to be quite a growing field in the MSP space.
It is, and we see that, whether it's in manufacturing or healthcare, there are investments that have been made, right?
Mhm.
SIEM being one, right? So doing co-managed SIEM is something that we didn't necessarily bake into our business plan. However, it's presented some very nice opportunities for us. So we've embraced that, and we've done, significant amount of business with just that as one example, right? So that total partnership with the two organizations is really what we're saying.
Okay, and so yeah, I'm guessing you probably specialize across multiple verticals, or do you focus just on a few?
Well, so from a vertical standpoint, we focus in financial services, we focus in healthcare, insurance, and manufacturing.
Okay.
So not to say we don't do legal; we have customers in the legal firm as well. Some of the other verticals, but those are the real, where we cut our teeth mostly.
Okay, and those are pretty much regulated too. So you have to have expertise in those areas as well. I'm guessing.
Indeed. You take the vertical, and you take the fact that maybe 70% of our customers are New York based, and New York keeps putting. They're starting to get pretty demanding of what they require out of certain industries too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You've got
we get
the local, the state, the national. You got all these different things you got to keep
that.
track of.
Yeah, exactly.
And how would you say your client base is split? You said you work with SMB, you work with with big companies. Is it a pretty even mix, or do you lean more heavily towards SMB or the enterprise?
No, I mean, enterprise, I'd say Fortune 2000 is probably our biggest, revenue, right? SMB is growing for us. We're realizing that, SMB, they have the power now to, have the same technology that the global financials had only a few years ago. So when it comes to things like business continuity, there's no reason for even an SMB to be, down anymore,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so we see that as a significant, uptick for us, focusing in SMB, but really in all intents and purposes, Fortune 2K customers is really, what I'm focused on here on my side of the house.
Okay. And now, do you have your own operations center then, and where you can manage all these different all the different customers from a single location or multiple locations?
We do, yeah. So, here we're in the suburb of New York City. We're about 40. We're outside of the blast radius. Right? So strategic location for where our data center is, and
Hmm.
operations, right? And so we run a 24 by 7 shop that's fully staffed, fully manned, fully badged by CCSI employees, right? So we don't
Okay.
contract out or anything like that. So outside of that blast radius, we run 24 by 7 shop. It's considered corporate, and then we have a few satellites sprinkled around. But corporate for us is here, in Bohemia, New York.
Okay. Great. And in terms of like tool set, do you have a standard set of tools then that you use to deploy out to your customer site so you can manage them remotely, or does it really depend on the type of customer or what they already have?
We try to standardize as much as we can, but in this day and age, things change pretty quick, and then
Hmm.
some customer requirements dictate us to, go outside of our standard tool set.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, we try to stay, standard on a tool set, that works for the majority of what we're trying to do here.
Okay.
We're one eye down the road, right? So the way we run the business, the way I run the business is I have, really think of it as 3 lines of business. I have cybersecurity, I have cloud services,
Hmm.
and then I have data center.
Okay.
And there's really a 4th line of business for our business, but I'll get into that in another minute. But I have practice managers for those technologies. So we have a cloud practice manager, and he's responsible for as a matter of fact, it just came out of our 2020 commit meeting. So we're, baking our final plans into what we're going to market with and what we're augmenting and so forth for 2020. And so one of the asks is to keep an eye on, how do we, provide better efficiencies than what we're currently doing. So I leave it up to the practice managers to know their business. So when it comes to the tooling, right? So, the proposals that, they find, they bring to our attention or to my attention, and then we discuss it. And the same thing on the cyber and data center side.
Okay.
So, yep.
Now, do you have your own data center and I guess kind of cloud services or colo services, or do you utilize the public cloud for that?
Yeah, so we have a data center here, right? But that's for our own internal data, right?
Okay.
Our own internal information. We try to utilize cloud whenever possible.
Gotcha.
So let me break down, I guess, the different services that we offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Help to make sense. So from a cloud standpoint, we offer disaster recovery as a service, backup as a service, right? Migration, getting customers migrated to the cloud
Mm-hmm.
as a service. We have our observability as a service, formerly known as visibility as a service. And then we have our pricing as a service, I guess I can call it. And that's where customers that have already migrated to the cloud, but they're not seeing the savings that they thought they would be saving.
Okay.
To size them and find out where they can be better to save money. Right? And so so our services, those services, typically, we're cloud agnostic. So for us, we try to marry, what's right for the customer. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Some customers are so anti-public cloud, and we have our strategic, private providers, right?
Okay.
Well, we don't do any hosting here. It's not a business
Gotcha.
that we ever did or that we want to get into.
Okay. Yeah. No, sometimes, you have, MSPs that, get into the cloud services on their own, or, like I said, just utilize the public cloud where it makes sense. So, not a wrong answer there for sure.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Now, what about application development? Do you guys do any of that for your customers as well?
Only when we have to.
Okay.
That's a big part of our business currently. So, but with that said, we have done some,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not really our forte per se.
Okay. No issues. Now, I'm sure you have a great set of existing customers, but as you said, you're looking at 2020, you've got growth plans. How are you getting new customers? I guess, like, are you advertising? Is it word of mouth? What's your acquisition?
Yeah. It's probably all of the above, right?
Okay.
So, there's nothing better than referrals, right?
Yeah.
So, business, when it comes to us, the referrals, and that we've done well in 2019 from customer referrals. And that's the biggest form of flattery when you have a customer who's willing to say, hey, you should call Joe. He wants to hear about what you can do for him. But aside from that, we do a good amount of marketing.
Okay.
Salveri is our marketing person here, and she does a nice job in working with the different teams and putting together. We have quarterly calendars that we try to market with. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the practice managers that I discussed before, they'll work with Jess and they'll work with our inside sales team in order to put the campaigns together and to really go out and launch campaigns, right? And so, we'll target a market, right? We'll target a service, and combined with those resources, they'll go out and, and solicit, for new prospects, new customers, new business, and advertise new services
Okay.
to customers. So we'll do things like newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
The cloud practice manager here, he's very well known in the cloud industry. So he's very well received from a cloud newsletter. We do a cybersecurity or an MSSP newsletter as well. And our cloud practice manager on that side is, again, very well known in that space. So so we do get a fair amount of leads, from those types of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we'll try to be out and about, right? We'll try to engage. We'll do our one event a month. We hosted a B-Sides event earlier this year, and we had it. It was a rousing success. It was actually one of the first ones here in this area, believe it or not.
Okay.
Well, that brought in, a whole awareness for us, right? So branding awareness. Jess is really the tip of the spear when it comes to that from a marketing perspective.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So it sounds like, not all MSPs have dedicated marketing. So
I
it's
know. I found that out.
so you're
It's
lucky to
go
have that
ahead.
resource.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the philosophy here is really, we're really running a startup, right? So the company has been around since 1974, but what we're really trying to, express to, any new people who might be interested in coming aboard, and just the culture, is really think of you're working at a startup,
Hmm.
where it's a fast pace. It's so, and it's embraced, right? Because the people who are, part of my team understand that. So, as a startup, you don't have a lot of resources. You got to get the most out of them, right?
Yep.
So that's really, the part of the culture that goes with it, right? So we'll maximize wherever we can.
Yeah, and and being in business that long, CCSI as a company and as a culture has obviously embraced change, because otherwise, they wouldn't have been a business for this long.
That's correct. It's so cool, right? You hear this business transformation thing, right?
Hmm.
Customers say, so you say you want to be a business transformation agent. Why should we, consider you guys? And it's an easy answer for us because, the truth of the matter is that we've been transforming our own business for 45 years,
Yeah.
from mainframes to, desktops to infrastructure, right? And so, there's been a lot of downturns, right? Ups and downs,
Hmm.
right? And the way um, the industry has gone in conjunction with the financial world, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, there's been a lot of companies that have been wiped out and can no longer, say that they're still in business. So we've done a nice job in that
Hmm.
period of time, just transforming, right? So yeah, so we feel qualified to, talk to our customers about what we believe is business transformation because of our own experience.
Yeah. So, thinking about experience, do you have any advice for someone who's out there who's maybe just getting started in this MSP space? Obviously not going to be a competitor to you guys just yet, but
Yeah.
anything that you might want to let them know as they get started on this journey?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a long list of things I can say, but for the folks who are just getting started, have a plan. You have to really have a plan, right? Because you can, think you have it down, right? But it's like that old adage, right? We look what we created. It's a square wheel,
Yeah.
So you don't want to have that experience, right? But have a plan. Put together a good strategic plan. Understand, within that plan, where you want to go. Who is it? Who are your customers,
Mhm.
right? How are you trying to have alignment? If you're truly going to provide services, what's going to make you better? What's going to make you
Yeah.
different, right? And it all goes back to the plan. That plan is a living, breathing plan that should, guide you throughout the course of that week, quarter, year.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's probably because I've seen, my own peers, in the industry, and before I was here, I was on the vendor side supporting MSSPs,
Hmm.
and same thing. A lot of the organizations, they are, started with a twinkle in the eye, right? Started by maybe one or two engineers, very engineering driven,
Yep.
by great services, and then someone recommends them and the business grows. But then you reach that point where you're kind of flat,
Hmm.
and so, you have to really go outside the box and understand that, even from an engineering standpoint, and I'm a long-time engineer myself, but you can't win it all as an engineer. You have to embrace sales. You have
Yeah.
to embrace marketing. And, it all goes back to the plan. What's your sales plan, your marketing plan? Where are you trying to go? Work with the end, starting from the end, work your way backwards.
Yep.
It was a long-winded way to say have a plan.
No, it makes sense. Great explanation. Uh, understanding, okay, having a plan, but when it comes to services and managed services, you obviously moved into this space. What's the best thing you like about being in the managed services space?
I personally enjoy, just really helping customers, seeing their businesses, expand.
Hmm.
Um, Managed services. I find that a lot of customers don't quite understand what that
Yeah.
means. Managed services. So when they start to see the value that you provide, right, and as we said before, when you allow so and so to focus on their core business because you got their backs on some of this other stuff, right? Whether it's, web services, warehousing, whatever the case is, where they can really start to focus on their core business, and what they need to do. That's really where we see, I know myself and my team get the most pleasure out of it,
Okay.
right?
Great. And in terms of, the managed services community, different MSP focused events or things like that, are you participating on any mentoring chips or anything like that for other MSPs?
So we, as far as mentorships go, we have some of the big colleges that we try to stay in contact with and provide an outreach for, right?
Hmm.
So whether it's internship programs, whether it's going on campus and talking to their cybersecurity students or their technology students, and providing that type of mentorship, that's important, right? That's important for a couple of reasons. One, because it's a feel good thing,
Hmm.
right? But more importantly, those are the next generation buying, right?
Yep.
So that's your chance to establish your credibility in their minds, right? So it serves a number of functions, right? And as far as getting out there, yeah, we participate in some of the local chapters. So we have a co-opetition agreement, where we'll share among some of our competitors.
Hmm.
Just because ultimately, we're trying to drive, in this area here, the New York City, the suburbs of New York City, we're trying to drive, the awareness of the industry. We're trying to make sure that there's no brain drain that takes place.
Yeah.
There's a flight out of the New York area now, right? Because of expenses and things like that. So being able to show that there are careers to be had here, companies, that's really part of the mission of some of the boards that I sit on, in some of the local chapters and organizations that we try to mentor each other with and grow together.
Okay.
Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about technology real quick. What technologies are you most excited about today?
iPhone 11? No. I'm a cybersecurity guy at
Okay.
heart. I grew up, I cut my teeth on in the security world, and so I personally get excited about this. Here's the thing, right? Cybersecurity and cloud, right? But you can't have two separate conversations anymore. The cybersecurity world and the cloud world have come together and will continue to come together. And that's really what makes me excited, right? Because, you see, people with their arms folded for so many years saying, I will never put my cloud, my data, my workloads into public cloud.
Hmm.
Now they're running 80%, 100% of their organizations in the cloud.
Yeah.
Right? So, and they didn't necessarily give it up too easily, but, there was a lot of education. There was a lot of merging of the worlds that took place for us, to help customers understand that the risk is probably more so keeping your data where it's at versus moving it to the cloud.
Yeah.
So what gets me excited is merging those two worlds together and getting customers to go. See your point.
Okay. What about what technology has you most worried?
That's a good one. It's IoT comes right to mind.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the biggest eyebrow raiser for me right now. And the reason for that is there's you don't know what you don't know just yet. And there's been a lot of chatter with IoT. There's been a lot of companies that have come forward with IoT and IoT solutions and stuff. For us, we don't want to go too fast into that space. We kind of want to sit back a little bit and see as it develops, right? And then what does that mean, and how do we hedge against what that might do from restricting some potential revenue streams where we have placed some significant investments in at this point,
Yeah. When everything has an IP address, it adds a whole new layer to cybersecurity as well.
Exactly.
Great. So we're up to our rapid fire round.
Okay.
So this is meant to be easy. So just the first thing that pops into your head. Ready?
I'll go for it.
All right. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Mac, Linux, or Windows?
Mac.
Okay. Amazon, Azure, or some other cloud service?
Oof. That's a tough one for a couple of reasons. Let's skip that one for now. Okay.
Okay.
Can we skip?
Yeah, it's fine. So backups, local, cloud, or both?
Yeah. I was going to say cloud, but for a customer, it depends, right? Cloud or local or both, right?
Both, yeah. Okay. Virtualization, should you always virtualize?
Whenever possible.
Okay. And I don't know if this one may or may not work, but it's the last one. Which is worse, printer support or vendor cold calls?
I'd have to say vendor cold calls.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes people, if you had to deal with a lot of printer support, a lot of times people say printer support. Other times, you don't have to do that, but vendors driving you nuts all the time. It goes 50-50.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's a close cut there. I would say 60-40.
Yeah. Great, Larry. Before we go, any other advice you have for anyone listening?
It's a tough business, right? So the MSP business is not an easy business. Understand that, right?
Mhm.
And so it's an exciting business, right? You know, um, it's don't get bogged down with thinking you know what you need to do. Speak to your customers, right?
Okay.
Understand what your customers want and where their pain points are.
Mhm.
The more you understand, the more you ask those questions, the more you can help them. And if you have to go outside the comfort zone a little bit, give it some thought, right? How does it work against your plan that we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
But if it's 80% logical, then it's worth stepping out because that could be the next big thing for you as an organization. So, it's the other thing I would say is it's a fast-moving
Yep.
Talk to your competitors. Everybody, the co-opetition is important.
Yeah, and like the only constant is change. So anything in technology. So Larry, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure our listeners will as well.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. So it was great talking to you as well. Enjoyed the time.
All right.
And you take care now. Okay.
All right. You too.